Just generally speaking, guys, like, why is it so hard to hire a head coach?
I think it's kind of the same for hiring a general manager too. You can have a coach that is great at calling plays and great at putting game plans together and all those things, but it's such a different seat that they sit in when they're the head coach. They're managing the whole team, and they have to manage 5 problems a day, and some people just aren't wired to do that.
You've hired great coaches, Bruce Arians, Todd, but like, when did you know, like, man, like, we got this right?
Well, I have a lot of those moments with both of Todd and Bruce, but I think one of the best qualities of a great head coach is, you walk in on Monday and you tell them, hey, both of our starting tackles are going to be out this week. And the ones that go, what are we going to do? We're going to lose for sure.
Right.
But then you've got the ones like Todd and Bruce are like, all right, well, we'll figure it out. That's what we're supposed to do. So that's a great quality for one.
John, how about you? Like, you had a run with Pete, Super Bowl winning. Like, when did you know, like, wow, this guy is really special, like, he's different, and we could get something done here with him?
Yeah, well, I was really blessed coming out of college as the staff that I was around. I didn't know at the time. We didn't have like I get these resumes now, like I'm sure you guys did. Like, I have my doctorate in sports management, right? But the first staff I was around was Coach Holmgren's staff. So it was like Andy Reid and Marty Morningwick and Ray Rhodes and John Gruden and all these guys.
Amazing.
So that was my first exposure to the league. So it wasn't until I got to Kansas City where I was kind of took a step back and started evaluating coaches. Right? Like, okay, well, that guy's a really good teacher. That guy's a really good leader. That guy, his communication skills are impeccable. Right? I would say, with our search last year, going to Jody Allen and saying, hey, what's important to you? This isn't like a me hire, it's a we hire. How's this person going to fit in? And so with Mike, it was clear because his ability to communicate in a strong, clear fashion really stood out. He was 37 at the time, best defense in the league, and, taught in a different way where, these guys are learning through Madden football and YouTube, and they're learning differently. And it was like, whoa, I'm getting old, So we need to get with it. We need to get with the times, and that's what really made him stand out.
Man, that's super interesting. Thanks, Mikey T. Speaking of new hires, how about a guy who came back to the team he won 3 Super Bowls with, Mike Vrabel, weighing in on what went into his decision to come back to New England. And here's what he said earlier this week about his quarterback, Drake May. I see a young, athletic, talented, full of potential player, excited to build this team around him, and a large part of the reason why I wanted to be here. We're talking about building a team around him. The Pats had one of the worst offenses in all of the land last season. They've really worked to address that. Stephon Diggs' latest addition on offense. It also includes 2 new projected starters on the offensive line, which, boy, did they need that. They spent big on defense, too. Milton Williams, Carlton Davis, Harold Landry, all in. They have spent nearly $200 million guaranteed dollars on free agents. So they had the money, but they spent it. How wisely did they spend it on offense? What's your assessment of the offseason moves?
I think they spent it wisely. I think the first thing you said was they got their head coach, and Vrabel comes in there. People are excited, and he's gotten guys with attitude. I look at Stephon Diggs. You can talk about and question different things with him and call him a diva and all of those other things. He was a captain in Buffalo. In his 1 year in Houston, he was a captain there. He's a guy that plays with a ton of passion and can fire up guys around him. Mac Hollins, a guy that will play special teams but also play receiver, will go in there and block in the run game. He's another attitude player. They did the same thing on the defensive side of the ball with Carlton Davis and Robert Spillane. I think Vrabel is coming in there, and he's bringing in guys that are like-minded, and he wants to set a tone and a tempo for this football team.
Yeah, listen, they needed a guy like Diggs, outside the numbers, guy who can beat man coverage. You just really hope that he's healthy, right? And he can bring to the table everything that he's capable of.
He's going to tutor and mentor those guys that they drafted last year.
Right.
Jalen Polk in the 2nd round and Javon Baker in the 4th round. Hopefully he can be a huge influence and help those guys elevate their game.
Hey, Matt, what do you see them doing? They have the 4th pick in the draft.
They are in a great position, guys. J-Mac mentioned it. They have some young receivers. Now they have veterans. But I think this is an ideal Travis Hunter team. He could play some wide receiver. He could play some corner. They do have needs at both spots. I love Christian Gonzalez. I think he's one of the best in the game. But they have that need for another corner. I don't know that Vrabel could look at a football player like Travis Hunter and say, Nah, like I know we need a left tackle, but how can you say no to someone who loves football as much as Travis Hunter does, who has the football IQ that Travis Hunter has, and oh, by the way, has some of the best instincts and reaction and ball skills that we've seen coming out of the college game in a long time. I wrote this today. Like, he could be Odell Beckham Jr. on offense and Denzel Ward on defense. Like, he's that good of a player.
Yep.
If you're the Patriots, you have needs for both of those spots.
Why isn't he going one?
Yeah, New England's in such an interesting spot because the three biggest needs they have on their roster, wide receiver, edge, and offensive tackle, do align with two of the best players in the entire draft, Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. But I would also contend, and this is not to say they shouldn't take either of those players, that offensive tackle is a bigger need than those other two needs, especially when you consider what I felt this was the worst tackle situation in the NFL last year. You go out, you get Morgan Moses to man the right side. You still need to draft there for both sides, quite frankly. Wide receiver, I think Diggs allows them to act a little bit less out of a place of desperation. And edge is something that, you bring in Harold Landry, again, they could still use another edge. I just feel the development of Drake May is so important. He showed so much last year, and he is the future of the franchise. I would be really disappointed if they don't come out of this draft with not one, but maybe even two offensive tackle options, even if it doesn't necessarily align with the 4th overall pick.
I think that the ideal situation if you're New England at 4 is the 2 quarterbacks go in the top 3. Then you're guaranteed you're going to get either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
If that doesn't happen, and Mina addressed this earlier in the show, then I think you do have to think about putting the 4 pick up for sale because of all those needs, because more picks is better at that. If you've identified, as a lot of people have, 2 potential franchise-changing players in Carter and Hunter in this draft, and you can't get either of them, and you have there's still a lot of needs on defense, a lot of needs on offense, then I think that you have to see how interested the Saints or the Raiders or the Jets or the Steelers are in moving up to that 4 pick and increasing the number of assets you have.
Kind of like we talked about earlier, but if one of these generational players is there on the board, don't you have to go for it?
You do. You have to definitely consider it because you're bringing somebody in right away. You just mentioned Travis Hunter, and you look at this New England Patriots team. They brought in Carlton Davis at one corner spot. Christian Gonzalez is at the other one. To be able to draft a player and say, you know what, if we need him on offense, we'll just play him there. But if we need him on defense, he can go on that side of the ball as well.
Where would you play him?
On the New England Patriots, I would play him at wide receiver. I think you got a guy in Diggs. I think when you brought in Carlton Davis and you paid him to be an outside corner and start, and Christian Gonzalez is going to be one of the best corners in the league next year, I think you're solidified there and you can go wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. And Travis could play inside. I mean, he's 188 pounds, 6 foot, 188 pounds. He could play inside on offense or defense. Guys, I want to throw one thing at you. Mina mentioned offensive tackle. Armand Membo from Missouri is rocketing up boards. I was at his pro day Friday. The Patriots had senior level scouts at that pro day. They were one of the only teams that did. At 4, it feels like, would that be a little bit of a reach? Maybe. But we talked about it earlier. If New England can slide back a little bit, 7, 8, 9 is a really, really good range for Armand Membo.
Yeah, there was a mock that came out this week that did have him at 4, much discussed on this program. Okay, one more thing. Our NFL Live crew, it's baseball's opening day. We have dabbled in baseball. There's Graz as a reporter for the Yankees.
Yeah, we opened in Tokyo in 2004. That was a fun trip.
Cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mina and I have both thrown out the first pitch. Mine was just a few years ago when I was working for a rock station. Yeah, I made it close to the plate. Mina, how did you do?
I did throw a strike, but not from the mound. I'm not going to pretend like I threw it from the mound.
You didn't have to tell us that part.
I was on the mound. Hey, Mina, by the way, isn't that one of the most terrifying things you've ever done? I thought it was.
Oh, my God. So nervous. And a kid went right behind me who threw like a perfect pitch, so.